I tell you that you can check the current stock count and inventory levels, booster boxes, ETBs on PokemonCenter.com. That would certainly give someone an advantage because they would know when that item would go in and out of stock and know when to buy it before it goes out of stock. We all know that once an item goes out of stock on Pokemon Center, the price tends to go up.
So this is information that's being gate kept by a lot of people, and Poke-san and I want to break down these communication barriers or these the lack of info the average collector gets and show you guys.
Welcome back, everybody. We are heading closer and closer towards the end of 2024 Pokemon bull market. Things are still heating up like we've never seen before. I don't think people are prepared for what's about to come in 2025. So today, Jesse and I are going to expose secrets and share some insider knowledge about the hobby that certain people do not want you to know. They are the people who have special access to information that you or the average people does not have access to. Stay tuned for that. We're going to also discuss the upcoming Prismatic Evolution situation involving car shops. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like our content. It really motivates us to keep going. Thank you all for sticking around, and hopefully we can hit 1,000 subscribers soon. So Jesse, let's talk about the hot button topic of car shops cashing in on Prismatic Evolution. I know there are content creators that are labeling car shops as scalpers, calling car shops greedy for overcharging their customers. Are these shops really being greedy for charging Prismatic Evolution at $70 to $100 USD plus? Or is there more to it? Tell us your thoughts since you own a car shop.
Yeah, so first of all, this is a very passionate topic for me because I've owned a car shop with my wife for the last 5 years, and we've gone through other booms and other cycles in the market where sometimes the market is really hot, and this has happened in the past, like in 2021, and then in 22 and 23 when the market was not so hot, there's a lot of sets that are going for around wholesale prices. So we went through both ends of the cycle, and it's going to repeat itself over and over again because like the bull market is not going to last forever, right? So I have perspective on both sides, and also we are collectors first, so we do buy a lot of cards for our own personal collection, and we oftentimes don't have enough product for us to open, so we actually buy a bunch of product from other shops too to open for ourselves. Like we probably open more for our personal collection than any other card shop owner in the world because that's our passion, right? And this is our hobby. So after watching some of these content creators call car shops greedy and exploitative and basically scalping their customers, it kind of really pissed me off because first of all, this bull market is going to be very tough for card shops, and I think PokeNE made a video about this explaining why. First of all, distribution is not like a magical place where you can just get unlimited product as a card shop for like wholesale, and people don't really know what wholesale is for most of these products. Like wholesale for a booster box is around like 95 USD for most card shops, and in Canada it's even higher. It's like 100 USD because we have some tariffs. So when the regular Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet series set sells for around $105 to $115 market, a card shop is probably making $10 to $15 gross, and this is like a gross profit that is not including like your employees, your rent, your utility bills. You're probably making a few dollars a box or just break even under the market conditions in 2022 and 2023, right? So it really pisses me off when card shops are selling fair market value product at way below MSRP and people are okay with it. And the second fair market value is over MSRP, and card shops are selling it for usually under the fair market value, basically under what the secondary market is selling it for. If it's over MSRP, people call card shops scalpers, exploitative, and that's the other thing that I want to say, because for some reason, Prismatic Evolutions, we didn't get a lot. I heard from a lot of other shops, they didn't get a lot either. So the numbers are very low for this set. And if you think about it, Pokemon said the average card shop gets like 3 cases of these ETBs. So this is the hottest new product in town. Let's just say it's not 3, it's 5. Like an average card shop gets 5 cases of these ETBs. So that's 50 boxes. And you sell it at MSRP. Let's just say it's $50 MSRP. Or maybe, is it 45 or 50 USD?
50 USD is.
Yeah, it's 50 USD, right? So wholesale is around 32, 33, I think. So if you get 50 boxes and you sell them all out, you're making like $15, $16 a box. You're talking about like $600 in gross profit for that shop. And this is the hottest new set that drives people in. So if you're selling it at MSRP, first of all, it's going to be gone in half a day. Second of all, you're not going to be able to keep your lights on because all the other product that's below MSRP that you're breaking even on, you're not going to get that money back, right? So, and the other side of it is if you're selling it at $50 and the fair market value is 110, you're basically giving the opportunity for someone that doesn't own a business, doesn't run a card shop, doesn't have a location for people to meet up and play the TCG. Right. Someone that's living in their house and kind of like selling cards in their basement, giving them the opportunity to make that $60 when they have no overhead and they have no contribution to the community, right? So there's a lot of things to take in here. The shops selling it for over MSRP, as long as, in my opinion, that's the fair market value and there's a very limited amount of product and they're genuinely trying to get it out to their customers, like limiting 1 or 2 per customer, and they're providing value by giving people a place to play the TCG. I really think there's nothing wrong with it because nobody is complaining when in the majority of the last 2 years, most of the modern English steel product are selling for wholesale or just slightly above wholesale. So these shops, to last as long as they did, usually it's driven by passion. Like there's a lot of other things that would have made them a lot more money if they did other things. And the other thing is like the people that are running these card shops are usually genuine collectors or hobbyists, and these people are actually putting in the money to give people a place to play and give basically, if there's no card shops, there would be no Pokemon card hobby in the future. In the long term, people are going to be like, that sounds so stupid. I could just buy it from like Costco, or if there's no card shop businesses, eventually the hobby is going to die out. So to support your local card shops, I think that's really, really important because most of the time the local card shops are actually selling for under what Walmart or Target. Yeah, most of these big box stores sell the product at MSRP or a bit higher. And for the majority of the last 2-3 years, like card shops like ourselves, like we sold Sword and Shield, Scarlet Violet era booster boxes for $110 USD, right? So I think people with a following, content creators, have a responsibility to report facts, things that are backed by evidence, and not give these judgmental takes without any proof, because people are saying things like, oh, this is greed, this is scalping, this is exploitative, they're exploiting their customers. Well, if using that logic, this is a two-sided market, right? If you're saying a fair market price of a product being over MSRP and the card shop is exploiting their customers and being greedy by charging a fair market value at over MSRP, then you can say it from the other way around too, because the other side of the market, the consumers, the people that buy these products, they were buying these products at way under MSRP, sometimes 40, 50% under MSRP. You can say the consumers are greedy for not wanting to pay MSRP. So I hate this double standard going on where once the market is over MSRP, the shops are greedy, but if it's way under, it's fine. It's like, oh, that's a good price. I hear that a lot from a lot of these YouTube comments. Oh, a booster box shouldn't be above $100. I actually saw this comment somewhere saying any booster box above $100 is a scam. Well, you should take that to the Pokemon company or to the distribution, because that's what card shops pay for these boxes, right? And if you take into inflation, the market has actually gone down, because in 1999 the booster boxes are $100, right? How can you say in almost 30 years later, 26 years later, it should still be the same price as it was in 1999? That just makes absolutely no sense, and it's a short-sightedness that destroys hobbies. And the people that have a following, that are content creators, just pushing this narrative, is hurting real life people, real life honest business owners, because the people that are going to listen to that and share that same sentiment, they're going to go out and attack these business owners selling product at the fair market price. It just makes no sense to me. The hypocrisy that is displayed by a lot of these content creators, it blows my mind. I actually had a conversation with one of them yesterday. We came to a mutual understanding at the end, but I'm very passionate on this topic, and it just needs to stop. This narrative needs to stop.
I totally agree with you. There's a lot of content creator doesn't have the complete context as a business owner as you do, so they don't see things from the other side, and that's going to incite a mob mentality towards one group of people versus the other, to where that people are going to oppose shops, and that's not healthy for the hobby.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is, so we talked about this in our last podcast. During this time, people are going to see crazy prices on some products on shelves, and they're going to assume that the hobby shop, the LGS, is scalping or charging crazy prices or making a crazy profit. I showed you the Vivid Voltage booster box price that we got from Universal Distributors, which is the #1 distributor in Canada by volume. We paid 275 Canadian a box for Vivid Voltage at the time, because we needed Vivid Voltage on the shelves when it was super hot when it first came out. We sold them for, I think, $300. So that's 25 Canadian a box gross profit. People came in and said, "Oh, that's crazy. These shops are making $200." Someone said that, I think. So we actually caught that guy saying it and showed them the invoice. Okay, we paid $275 for it. So a lot of the times, don't be blaming the LGSs for these prices, because the people that really control the prices are distribution, and they actually sell these products to a lot of these hobby shops for pretty much market, for like what your eBay prices are, which is why you see some of these products being slightly higher than even what you can buy on eBay from these shops, because distribution controls what product you get. And if you want to get product during these tough times, you are going to have to pay up. And it's nowhere near wholesale or even MSRP for some of these products. I believe when Prismatic Evolutions, we get a second wave, there's going to be maybe 1 or 2 cases for wholesale, and the rest will be sold for well over MSRP from distribution. It's just crazy. The prices, I can take people through our distributor site to show them some of our distributor pricing, and people will be very shocked.
Distributors have a lot of control over the pricing, and they don't have to charge wholesale after the product is released and after a period of time. So do you think distributors hold back products sometimes to...
They do. They tell us they do. It's crazy. They're like, "Hey, if you want to buy more," this happened with, I think, Evolving Skies at the time. So we were buying products at wholesale, which is like around 100 and Sword and Shield was a bit lower. It's 115 Canadian, so about like I believe at the time it was like $90 US. And they're like, "Oh, you can get like 10 cases at this price, but if you want to get more, it's 155 Canadian." So that's like 120 USD at the time. So it happens quite a bit with every hot set, actually.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, you can get this amount at this price, and you can get this amount at pretty much market. And if you were to get more product, and usually the allocation that you get for hot sets is nowhere near the demand, right? I think we got 10, maybe even less than 10 cases of the Prismatic ETBs at wholesale from distributors. That will literally, if we post it online, it will sell in a day. So
for sure. Then you will have nothing on shelves.
Exactly. So we're doing maybe one. We're not even doing any pre-order. So the pre-order problem, there's some of the criticism that's justified in terms of people selling pre-orders before they even get their numbers, and people are canceling their orders like left and right. And I know that is a huge problem, and I think that's the criticism on that end is warranted, because that's the reason why we never do pre-orders for these hot sets, just because we know, first of all, we know our numbers really late into the cycle, and we know we rather have these products on the shelves for even a week. That's way better than selling it out online. But like I said, we've never canceled a single pre-order. Sometimes they mess up our allocations and give us a few cases less. And CJ will have to go and buy it at market, which is like way over what pre-order prices were for us, and to fulfill the order, even if we lose money. So we're very proud that we've never canceled a single pre-order. There are a lot of shops that use pre-orders as a way to basically fund their business, right? Kind of like a interest-free loan. Brian actually talked about like how he used to do that a lot too. And I guess for someone like him that is able to get unlimited product, well, not unlimited, a lot of product, and he's confident he can fulfill it, you can probably do that. But I don't recommend anyone that's in this business to do that, because once you start canceling people's orders, first of all, that's opportunity cost lost for the customers, because they could have put that money somewhere else that would have made them money. And second of all, it is just like, it's not very honest behavior, because you're basically just using it to bridge a gap, like a loan or something, like to pay off your credit cards. And I just don't think that's the right way to do it. So there are some points that I do agree with some shady business practices, but selling products at a fair market value over MSRP is definitely not one of them.
Would you agree that it's all the newer car shops that are doing the pre-order, where they're just also canceling orders because they later learned that distributors cannot fulfill their allocation due to lack of knowledge, more so than having really bad intentions?
Well, like I said, we don't know for sure what their intentions are, but I would say if you've been in business for a little bit, like these these numbers, you never know how many you're going to get until they tell you. So you can have a good idea of, at least, let's say you think at least you're going to get 5 cases, so you can sell 3 cases of pre-orders. But with the mass cancellations from a lot of shops that I'm getting, I feel like if you're canceling more than half of your orders, you're price gauging, and you're canceling because you think you can sell your stock at a higher price because the market's increased. So either way, I don't think there's an excuse, whether or not it's on purpose or not, to cancel your pre-orders, because I think if a customer pays for something, that is a commitment for that sale that you've made to your customer. So for whatever reason, you shouldn't be canceling anything. That's my honest opinion. And we pre-sold our, what's the last, Surging Sparks booster boxes at 159 Canadian, which is like 112, 115 USD, right? So we sold, I think, probably 50 boxes at 115 USD. And that's super cheap. And then we sold maybe another 50 boxes at slightly higher than that, 125 USD. And obviously that's like half of the market price now. But we didn't cancel the 100 boxes that we sold, because those people made a commitment, and we made a commitment to them to bring them the product. And I think that's really, really important for the card shops to do. I don't care if the box is worth $500 now. You sold it at $110, $120. You can't cancel it. I don't think there's any excuse to cancel the orders. In my opinion, I told you, like, this is what we did. If we can't fulfill it, we will buy it at its market price, lose money, and fulfill it. That's our commitment to our customers.
Yeah, I mean, that establishes your trustworthiness as a card shop owner, and that would bring customers to come back during a time when there is going to be a downturn and when things are not as hot as right now, and they would still come and buy from you because you honor their initial pricings.
Yeah, so there are some like warranted criticism regarding pre-orders, but I just don't agree on just claiming that every shop that sells anything at over MSRP as being greedy and exploitative. Because if you're saying it's exploitative, then basically anybody that's buying stuff at under MSRP is exploiting the shops, because the market is so bad. It's a buyer's market, right? It's the same thing. It's unless you're selling at a way over market, right? I don't think any shop deserves to be attacked by these people, because a lot of shops are being attacked right now.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. Like, currently on TCG Player, these ETBs are selling for between 100 to 120 USD. And on eBay, there's cases of 10 selling for 800 to 1,000. Or even Pokemon Center ETB cases selling for close to 700 to 800. So that's like 170 to 180 dollars
cool.
USD for Pokemon Center Exclusive.
Okay, so I want your opinion on this. What is your opinion on investing in Pokemon Center ETBs?
I think they're an excellent investment. Ever since the start of Scarlet and Violet, they added a stamp to the promos, and that adds a lot of value, especially if you grade them and get a PSA 10. Like the Charmander was selling for, I think, upwards of $300 for a PSA 10 promo. And so I think that holds a lot of value. And you can only get the ETBs from the Pokemon Center, the exclusive Pokemon Center ones.
Yeah.
And so I think that give it a little extra special oomph to it.
So my opinion, I think it's a really good investment in
Mhm.
terms of it will generate really high returns, especially you buy it from Pokemon Center. But I'm not a supporter of it because I'm a huge advocate for buying things that's like good value per pack when it comes to steel product. And the thing is with Pokemon exclusive ETBs, display wise, it doesn't look that different from the regular ETB. And the per
Mhm.
pack value is absolutely terrible because the only difference is the stamp promos, right? So I actually like try and stay away from buying the Pokemon Center ETBs, obviously in the secondary market. If I can buy it from Pokemon Center, that's absolutely a great idea. But every time we do collection buyouts and I see a collection with a bunch of Pokemon Center ETBs, I just turn it down. I was just like, I'm not going to buy it.
Really?
Yeah, because well, at its current value, you're talking about 3x, 2x, 3x the regular ETB sometimes. And I understand it's way more limited, but I think the market itself is not. How do I say this? I wouldn't say it's not organic because I'm not saying people are manipulating the market on it, but I think it's not the smartest way long term because I'm thinking when I have a big sealed collection or investment long term, I'm always thinking, oh, I can open it up in 10 years if I want to rip some Evolving Skies. That'd be super fun. But you would
Mhm.
never open and rip your Pokemon Center ECB because even with the difference in stamp promos, you're not going to get your money back compared to the regular ETP. So I personally am not a big fan of just Pokemon Center ETB investments in general. Maybe it's also because of some recency bias. I've been trying to do a lot of collection buyouts, and every other collection has a mountain of Pokemon Center ETBs. And I'm like, oh God, please just give me some booster boxes, please. I just want booster boxes.
Yeah, I mean, people love those Pokemon Center ETBs because they're so limited, and you can only get them at Pokemon Center. You can't get them off of anywhere else, retailers or distributors. And people just really like the stamp promo for some reason. Okay, I just looked up on eBay last sold the Charmander from Obsidian Flame promos in a PSA 10 is selling for 800 to 900. That just shows me that the stamp promos are highly desired by the people in the market. So I did not expect it to be this high, actually. So if you look it up, the recent sold was $950, and that's what the market decides that it should be valued at. So I do see your point, though, that the ETBs are big and hard to store. It's just like there's
Hard
not
to
much of a
store.
difference between the regular ETB in terms of if you want to display it, and it's just bulky to store. And I think that could be a lot of people's gripe with the ETBs being an investment. But I think as a collector, I would like to have at least one case of each Pokemon Center exclusive for the sets that I like. So I wouldn't like go out and collect Pokemon exclusive ETBs just for the sake of investing. I would want to collect it because I like the box art, because I do have very limited space, so I can only collect the ones that I like. And also,
That's the other issue that I have with ETBs in general. I'm just not a big fan of ETB collecting just because the ETB is actually bigger than the booster box, right?
it
And
is.
they're just so hard to store. They're bigger than the booster box, and they have a quarter of the packs exactly. There's 9 packs in
Oh,
the
I know.
ETB, 36 packs in the booster box, and every single one of them's got a bunch of these other random stuff like the dice and some
I
sleeves.
know.
I personally don't care for any of them.
I
I just
don't
want my
either.
packs, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
I just like there's maybe it's also more cost effective. So there's so many collections that people try and sell to us. It's like, oh, I have this full ETB collection. I'm like, pass it on to the next person. Okay, I want
Yeah.
booster boxes. I want, because storage is such a big issue for us as well, especially when you have a large sealed collection. Like we have multiple rooms in different houses in the shop and in a warehouse. Like you can't just like
Can't
a
imagine.
ETB collection is the worst things to store because they take up so much space and there's not that many packs. And it just
I
annoys the
know,
hell out
yeah. All of it is taken up by like cardboard and dice
of me.
and sleeves that
Yeah, cardboard
we don't care about.
efficient way to store it, right?
That's my concern with ETBs. I rarely have any ETBs in my storage. I only have Pokemon exclusive
Yeah,
ETBs. So I don't even collect the regular ones. I only collect PC ETBs because of the spacing issue.
yeah. No, I think if you can buy PCETBs at release on Pokemon Center, it's a no-brainer. Everyone should go buy it. I'm just saying, having like, your entire collection with ETBs for the secondary market, I'm not gonna buy it at the crazy prices just because I'm like, dude, if I wanted to open something in 10 years, I'm never gonna open this. That might be a way of thinking that's not very realistic anyway, because you're not gonna open a ton of your product in 10 years when it's super expensive. But I would like to have the option to, and I'm like, oh, it would be terrible value for me to open this because there's only 9 packs, and it's like
Yeah.
3x the price of regular ETB,
Oh
and
yeah,
like
definitely. Doesn't make
6x the
sense,
price
right?
of per pack price of a booster box or something like that.
You would really open it only if you want to make a grading play on the promo, but
Yeah.
it's also a risk because you may not get a 10,
Yeah,
So
most like the promos that are being packed in there are being tossed around quite a bit. So getting a
yeah.
10 is not easy as people think.
So I would probably like the 151 Pokemon exclusive ETB with the Snorlax promo. That ETB is in the 250s and 270s right now,
Yeah.
which is a crazy amount of gains. We can talk about that a little bit later in the episode on how many were available on Pokemon Center in terms of total inventory. Do you have anything else to add before we dive into the next topic?
Yeah, so
Or
I just think we should all be kind to the local card shops unless they did something bad. And selling it at fair market price above MSRP is not one of them. So I would like to just put an end on that narrative. And people are going to be like, oh, it's because you want to shop. This doesn't affect us because we don't sell pre-orders for this set and we're probably not going to get a lot. So it's more for our other friends that own shops and the
right,
smaller
you're advocating
businesses
for
that
them.
rely on this to make a living. We don't. So it doesn't affect our livelihood that much, but I hate to see people that are literally they grinded through the last 2 years to
Mm,
survive, and the second they have a product that they can sell for a little bit of profit, people start attacking them for being greedy. You can state your opinion, you can state the facts and your analysis and discourage people to buy these products. And I agree with most of these takes. Like you probably shouldn't be
yeah,
FOMOing and paying 3x MSRP for it. You can discourage people to buy it. Don't leave a judgmental remark. These people are greedy for doing this because you
condescending.
don't know what they're going through. You don't know the context behind it. And you probably don't really understand what running a car shop is like throughout different parts of the cycle. It's not always going to be like this, and it's not always going to be like 2023 where everyone is selling booster boxes at a loss. Like sometimes when like people are like, oh, if you're saying wholesale is like $100 and $95, why are people selling like battle styles at 85 at a
They're
time? Well,
losing.
people are selling it at a loss. Yeah, people
Yeah,
sold a lot of profit, a lot of product at a loss in 2022 and
for sure.
2023. Yeah.
Correct. I see that you're
Right.
super passionate about this subject and that you're standing up for some of your friends and other
Yeah.
shops that are being attacked. So I really appreciate you, standing up and sharing your side of the story for everyone to hear because that is important for everyone
Yeah.
to hear the both side of the story and in fact
Yeah.
as well. So
Exactly. I just wanted to get that voice out there because I feel like it's a way louder voice from the consumer and the buyer side, and not
right.
as much from the
Oh,
shop owner.
definitely not. Definitely not for the shop owner side. Thank you again for that. All right. Let's dive right in to insider info and the secret tool that people have used to their advantage in this community. So what if I tell you that you can check the current stock count and inventory levels, booster boxes, ETBs on PokemonCenter.com? That
Yeah.
would certainly give someone an advantage by having access to that information,
Mm-hmm.
because they would know when that item would go in and out of stock. And so they know when to buy it before it goes out of stock. We
Yeah.
all know that once an item goes out of stock on Pokemon Center, the price tends to go up, right?
Yeah. So this is information that's being gate kept by a lot of people, and here at Poke SMP, Poke Sun and I want to break down these communication barriers, or these the lack of info the average collector gets, and show you guys ways to not really like time the market. Well, technically timing the market, because once the a big catalyst for sets going up in value is being sold out on the Pokemon Center, and we actually experienced this at a large scale during the Sword and Shield booster box era being sold out in the last 6 months or so. I remember when everyone knew Lost Origin was going to sell out in a little bit, and we talked about this when we first started our podcast. So like,
I
hey,
remember that.
like my investment strategy is just one case of Lost Origin a week until it sells out. And I told everybody, and I didn't have access to this information at the
Yeah, me
time. So
at the
when
time.
you see the number goes down to like below 10,000 to 5,000 to 1,000, that's maybe at the time when you buy a lot, because MSRP is $144 for Sword and Shield era booster boxes, and immediately went up to over 200 within the span of like, I believe, a week or 2 weeks when Lost Origin first sold out. And it will be the same for the other sets that are super popular. Yeah, so like take us through this. I would love to. This is actually something you knew, and I actually didn't know about this. I kind of just used my intuition and kind of like timed it based on how much I think the stock is left, and this is actually a definitive way to see how many more booster boxes or ETBs are left on the Pokemon Center, right? So show us.
Yes, yes, definitely. But quickly, I just want to preface this by letting you guys know that people in the past have stood out and said we should not be sharing this information to the public. And I've shown Jesse the screenshots, and not going to name any names, but I believe we should all try to be more inclusive and allow others to be successful in that process. It's good to be informed so you can make the best decision for yourself. And hopefully people will pass on these opportunities to learn and succeed to others as well down the line. So the inventory stock bot is a great tool to use. You can access these monitors on these two highly recommended Discord groups. One is called Passive Collectible, which I mentioned in the last episode, and the other one is Unknown Collects, which is another fabulous Discord group that's been around longer. I will link them both down in the description. I am not sponsored by them. It's just what I use as tools to help me during periods of high demand. So they both offer stock count service and pop-up notification, restock alerts when inventory becomes available. So I've used both in the past, and I was able to scoop up the ETBs from Walmart close to MSRP. There is a small membership fee, but I think it pays for itself if you know how to use it. And one of them also have trial periods. You can try out their stock bots. Let's take a look at an example. I'm going to scroll to the next screen. You see Silver Tempest. Okay, this is the stock bot monitor. And the stock checker is showing on the very left side Silver Tempest booster boxes. If you guys remember, back on December 7th, at around 7 a.m., if we want to get very technical, there was a count of 175 to 232 Silver Tempest booster boxes. You can see the arrow pointing to that current stock count range. And then the next column shows that about 40 minutes later, it was less than 56 left. So on that same day, on December 7th, it went from 200 to 50 to out of stock on the same day. So in about an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes, you're able to narrow it down to when it would go out of stock by predicting if it's going down by 50 an hour, it'll probably be out very, very soon. So that's kind of how you would gauge, or at least that's how I do it, and probably how others do it as well in order to make the last play.
Wow. So what is Silver Tempest at now on TCG Player?
Silver Tempest right now is probably in the 180s, if I have to take a guess. Last time I checked, which is about a week ago. So the MSRP on Pokemon
144,
Center
right?
was 143 USD. After it went out of stock, it didn't shoot up like Lost Origin that we talked about, but it did go up. So that could continue to move upwards.
Yeah, it is at 186 on TCG Player now. So it did
Yeah.
shoot up quite a bit, but not to the extent of Lost Origin or Fusion Strike back in earlier this year. I think that was like what, in June or May when it first sold out.
Yeah. Last
Yeah.
Origin went up to like close to like 180, 190s. Well, yeah, I think that it was very close to that. Fusion Strike was also another one that went out of stock on Pokemon Center UK. And after that went out of stock on the UK webpage, Fusion Strike booster boxes are now in the 300. It shot up to 300s.
Yeah. Yeah, that's honestly this is a great way to time the market, because from our understanding, most of the time when it does get sold out, especially after like a year, more than a year release on Pokemon Center, it's usually not going to get reprinted. And well, unless like when it's first came out, like Paldea Evolved sold out a couple times, I think.
Yeah,
But for this era of booster boxes, when it does sell out, you're not going to see
another
144 or
reprint.
133 ever again. You can kiss that price goodbye. So it's a good time to buy these booster boxes.
I agree. And you can also look at the pre-order inventory limit, which is how much box they loaded on the Pokemon Center website of 30,000. Yeah, 30,000
Yeah.
booster boxes.
So looking
So
at this, what would be a good set to buy right now? What is low on stock that we can start buying?
well, there's really not many booster boxes of Sword and Shield left. A lot of people are still buying off of, I believe, TCG Player for a little bit cheaper. Most of the boxes from Scarlet and Violet, like Stellar Crown, are still in the 115, so it would be cheaper than the
Mhm.
website. I think right now people are aiming towards Pokemon Center ETBs and trying to buy those out, and majority of them are out. And just to give you some more context,
Wow,
the
145,000? 165,000? That's crazy.
yeah, just to give you more context, the Scarlet Violet Surging Sparks Pokemon Center ETB 145,000, and they increased the print run for the Prismatic Pokemon Center Evolution ETB, but that got eaten away in 10 to 12 hours.
Wow. It
So
shows how hot the market is.
165,000 people were buying up these ETBs. That's just crazy, crazy, crazy high demand.
Yeah. Well, this also kind of shows during the hype when the market is crazy and Pokemon is trying to print to demand. Some of these products are printed a lot more than some of the other products that were printed in the last year, or like when the market is not as hot, you know? So that's also something to take into consideration that I wanted to talk about. Remember how in 2021, when they really printed Darkness Ablaze and did the voltage into the ground, because it was super limited at first, and we showed that we paid $275 a box from distribution. But after that, the second and third print runs, they printed that thing to the ground because they were hot sets. And Darkness Ablaze is a bad set, but the voltage, if you look back at it, I don't think it's that bad. It's not just got the Rainbow Pikachu; it's got the amazing Rare Rayquaza. Some of the other sets, like I actually enjoyed that set. It was like one of the sets I was pre all arts that I enjoyed, but
Yeah.
it's not worth a lot of money because they printed that so much. And if you look back in history, back in late 2016, 17, like some of the early Sun and Moon era sets, like Crimson Invasion or something, I believe they printed those cards, those sets a lot because of Pokemon Go, and there's a huge influx of people coming into the hobby. So I feel like that will come into play in 2025 because Pokemon is seeing the market is so hot right now. So they're going to print a lot of these.
Oh,
We
yeah.
print a lot of these once the set is let's say there is 1 or 2 sets that doesn't live up to expectations, I don't think it's going to be Prismatic Evolutions, because we already saw how amazing it is in Terastal Festival. But let's say one of the Team Rocket or the Gem set or the Black and White 151, one of those sets or 2 of those sets become something that's like not received very well, you might have a problem of something that's really overprinted and that will stay at or below MSRP for 5 years and beyond, just like how Vivid Voltage and Darkness Ablaze. Well, I guess like Darkness Ablaze is kind of like out of print already, so it's slowly rising in price. But you gotta be careful of these things. It's not just a magical thing where you just buy and it'll just always go up.
Exactly. And to give people more information, I made a spreadsheet of the entire SV from the very first base set to the most recent ones. As you can see, the first Scarlet and Violet base Pokemon Center ETBs, there's about 90 to 100,000 printed. And then Paldea Evolved was very low. And Obsidian Flame was in the 70s along with 151. Only 70,000 exists in the market. And then they slowly ramped up production because Pokemon Center ETBs became more and more popular and more in demand. And people really liking the stamp promo that we were talking about. As you can see on the far right column, everything is pretty much sold out except for the Shrouded Fable. It's not very high in demand at the moment. It's got, about 100,000 still in stock, which I can show you later, but there's still a lot of Shrouded Fable left, and I don't think it's moving. It's going to move because that set was just not well received.
Yeah. I think this kind of is such an interesting set of data, because remember how we talked about Pokemon printed less of a lot of the Scarlet Violet sets because the demand wasn't really there early on. And people are like, oh, what are you guys talking about? This kind of shows it too. Like, you look at it, it started out with like 90, 50, 70, 80. It went up. Now it's like 145,000, 165,000. It's all sold out. So Pokemon does adjust the level like of product that they print set by set according to demand. So they have someone that has a pretty good understanding of where demand is at and tries to print to demand, because you never want to print over or under demand, because it's just like a surplus in your potential profit. I really think Pokemon has a pretty good understanding, but also they can't really anticipate what happens in the future. So a lot of the times there's sets that are criminally underprinted like Team Up, and then there's sets that are overprinted like Vivid Voltage and Darkness Ablaze. So you got to really watch out. There's a lot. Oh, and Shining Fates. Shining Fates is the shining example.
Oh my gosh.
Because a lot of people. Okay, so a lot of people aren't around at the release of Shining Fates. So people were lining up. Like, people are paying $150 a ETB for Shining Fates because it's in the middle of the pandemic. It was released, I believe, like early 2021, and people were lining up like for hours to get their Shining Fates for like $70-$80, and that is like the pandemic set that they printed to the ground. And you can still get these. I know, because at the time our shop was like pretty new, so we I think invested $25,000 or $30,000 in the Shining Face ETBs, and just because so many people wanted it, right? And we were buying them at over MSRP. I believe our buy price was like $60-$70 USD for it. And thankfully we did sell out, I think, most of them, but now they're still going for like $40, right? They're still going 40, 45. And I know a lot of friends that were investing at the time. They invested in the shiniest, hottest set, which is Shining Face when it first came out. And so that could happen, right? I really believe in 2025 we will have our version of Shining Fates. Which set is that? I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Prismatic, because it's Prismatic is going to follow Hidden Fates, because Hidden Fates is printed like crazy as well. So did so was like 151. Like, all of these sets that were printed a lot, but it doesn't matter because they're just so desirable. So I think Prismatic is not going to be one of them, but something in the next year will be the Shining Fates of 2025. You can guarantee it, because history always repeats itself. So let's be really careful about this. because anything that comes out in the next year will get printed a lot, like for years to come, I think.
For sure. I
Yeah,
love that
so
you're talking about shiny fates, because that was going to be my next example of something going out of stock on Pokemon Center, but still not affecting the market value. Like how we talked about Silver Tempest and Lost Origin, when they went out of stock on Pokemon Center, the prices went up, or like certain Pokemon Center exclusive ETB went out of stock and the secondary market went up. But when Shiny Fates ETBs went out of stock, which is not an exclusive PC, they don't have like an exclusive PC ETB version of this. So there's bunch, still available out in the wild. Even though this went out of stock fairly quickly back in the beginning of December, where everything was kind of selling out on Pokemon Center is a trend that we've noticed. But for this particular ETB, it didn't do too much to the market.
there was just so many of them out there, and I believe you can still buy some at distribution from wholesale up until like earlier this year. I think it's unfortunate because I thought this set holds a lot of memories for a lot of people that came back into hobby in the last 5 years, and we opened so many of these, but yeah, it just got printed too much, and it shows that this will happen again in 2025. So we can have our predictions on which set it's going to be, but it's going to be one of these sets. I really think.
Yeah. So kind of going back to what you were asking me before, like, would you invest in Pokemon Center ETBs? My answer was yes. And based on this spreadsheet, I would use this data now that I have it, because before I didn't have this data. But now that I have this data in front of me, I realized that the first several PC ETB exclusives are a good investment because they're scarce. There's not as many of them printed. So 151 SV PC ETBs with 70,000 total available or in existence. I think it's pretty fair for the current market value of being in the 200s, 250s. I think that is going to be a good long-term hold from this data.
Yeah, the data honestly tells no lies. So seeing this, I would have to agree with you because 151 is, well, arguably one of the hottest, most popular sets of all time. And I think 151 is one of the main catalysts of this boom. People don't really understand how significant 151 is because us at the shop, this is a story that we've heard over and over again, right? Like this is even before like our boom that started in, I would say maybe October or November. This is like earlier in the year. This is like when 151 came out. We had people come in, people around our age, like in our early 30s or late 20s that came in. It's like, hey, I got back into Pokemon cards because I wanted to open some 151. And 151, I would say, is one of the most historically significant sets moving forward in the future. It's going to be a future classic. So seeing this and it's how it's printed like a third of what some of the other sets are being printed is changed my mind, and it makes me want to go and buy some. I think I'm also a bit salty with the Pokemon because every time I hear it being dropped and I just log on and it just crashes on me, so I always only get like 2 or 4 boxes of each, and I'm like, oh man, I want to like smash my computer. So
Pokemon Center limits people to 4 per person, so it's really hard to buy them in large quantity. So you can only get a few or 1 or 2 cases if you're lucky, because a lot of people.
And half the time the site crashes, right? So
and it does, it's
so
hard.
I'm not discouraging people not to invest in this. Like I'm saying, if you can get it from the Pokemon Center, just go get it. I'm just saying it's really annoying where I can't get it at release, and every time I buy it from other people, I look at it, it's like 4x the MSRP, and I'm like, dude, I don't want to see this.
And Surgeon Sparks has an inventory count of 140,000, so twice as much as 151.
That's crazy.
So that just shows you guys how strong the market is and how in demand these PC ETBs are, and how much people want the 151. PC ETBs.
Now this makes me regret something because I remember there's one time. This is like when it first came out. We had like 4 cases of 151 Pokemon Center ETBs, but CJ and I we already ripped all our 151. I was like, dude, I'm gonna rip our Pokemon Center ETBs. So I ripped them all. I remember I ripped them all one night. Well, at the time, I don't think it was that expensive. I was like, I just need to get that Charizard or get a God Pack or something. And I remember we had a few cases, but I was like, yo, screw it. Like, let's rip them all. And I ripped them all. So I don't think I have any anymore. Seeing this makes me regret it.
But I really think the first 4 SV PC ETBs are the strongest because they're the least amount printed from the SV base. Paldea Evolve with only like no more than 50,000. It's kind of an odd number, but like I guess they were just starting to ramp up production.
Got around to like reprinting it. Paldea Evolved is like generally underprinted for the booster box side too. Now looking at this data, I'm gonna have to invest some into Paldea Evolved, I think, because I don't really see them reprinting that set. There's not a lot of playable cards in there, I don't think, because Pokemon actually reprint sets that are competitively like viable. Like there's a lot of competitive like cards that are in the meta, and they try and print that to make it widely available. So when you look at some sets that don't have a lot of playable cards, actually those sets will be less likely to be reprinted. A lot of people don't really understand that. Yeah, because Pokemon is a TCG, so they really want the players to get the cards that they need to participate in the game. Not so much for collectors.
That's a really good point, and really, good for all the viewers to keep in mind that Pokemon may not reprint sets that don't have good playable games for tournaments.
Yeah, or if they're out of rotation, they have no reason to reprint something for no reason. Yeah.
I just want to show the last set of the stock checker bots for Vivid Voltage. There's currently still quite a bit left on Pokemon Center of over 11,000.
11,600. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's awful.
Yeah,
that's awfully a lot.
That's still a lot. Damn, there's still 20,000 battle styles. That's insane.
I mean, Vivid Voltage, it was released in November of 2020, so it's like 4-year-old set, and battle style is like 3+, and so there's still plenty available, even though they're an older booster box. So that's very interesting to see that they're just printed these to the ground.
It's unfortunate, but at the time they were really trying to print to demand, and there are some sets that are from this era that just never really met expectations, and people moved on from them and most likely wouldn't recover until it's sold out for a few years. So it doesn't matter how good the set is. I actually don't think Vivid Voltage is a bad set. I've been saying this a long time, but
I know
it's unfortunate or fortunate for the people that like enjoying opening the set. You can still open it for MSRP for at least the foreseeable future. So good for the people that want to rip.
Yeah. So just looking at this data, I would probably advise people to hold off on investing in battle styles booster boxes. Because there's just so many left, and you can buy anytime. You can take advantage of other things that are currently nearly going out of stock. But there's still over 20,000 ETBs of Shrouded Fable. So that's one of the last Scarlet and Violet PC ETBs left, and it's just not in demand at all.
But Shrouded Fable is actually very good for players. There's a few cards that are very playable in that set. So if any collector are like, oh, this is worst set ever, but I actually know players that are trying to come to the shop and buy Shrouded Fable and pull the Pheasantipity or some of the other cards that are still very playable in competitive formats now. Not so good for investors for sure.
So again, these data are from the time of recording, and the numbers may change or fluctuate a little bit by the time you guys watch this. So if you want a more accurate number, I would highly advise you guys to join the Discord group so you have access to this and try it out and see how you like it. If you're into numbers and just knowing how much are left, I think, more data is not going to be a bad thing. I think it helps me personally to make a decision, and I want you guys to make the best decision for yourself that makes sense for your financial situation, and don't ever go into debt investing in Pokemon.
Yeah, I agree. All right. This is some crazy next level top secret information that you're providing. It's so valuable, and I really appreciate you sharing this with our audience and with myself as well. This is
Yeah.
almost like a cheat sheet for Pokemon modern sealed investing. Yeah.
It is a little bit of a cheat sheet. Just keep in mind that this is probably more useful for Pokemon Center ETBs because it's exclusively available on Pokemon Center. But the boxes and the number of prints can kind of tell you what maybe Pokemon is thinking in the back of their head. Like, are they ramping up production to print the demand? And it looks like they are from looking at the numbers.
I really think this is everybody should join this Discord group because this is information that you can't get from anywhere else. And
Yeah.
this is if you don't use this, you're at a disadvantage. The people that do.
Yeah.
So no brainer.
So more on the Pokemon bull market. The best anticipated sets are still yet to come. This is especially evident with Terastal Festival and the hype. With multiple waves selling out here in the US, Japanese distributors and resellers are raising their prices. US consumer like me went from paying $50 USD per box to over 70 to 80 and probably more now. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that and how strong or how high in demand Terastal Festival is.
Yeah, so I think the first batch that we got are around we were paying landed like under 60 USD, like 50 something. And that's when it first released, which is pretty common for a set that's a class set in Japan. But this set became so popular that Japanese distributors that we worked with that was around that price point are actually now upping their prices to around like $75 to $80 USD, and this is before shipping and taxes. So when it's landed, it'll be like well over $80 USD now. So for the shops that are selling it for $90, you're barely making any money. So a lot of people are complaining about the prices, saying, "Oh, people are super greedy." Again, this is not something that you can control because this set is so hot. We had someone come into the shop and open 60 boxes of these things because it's so addictive to open. The Master Balls look so much better than the 151 because it's textured. And they're so incredibly hard to pull any single Master Ball. We actually got super lucky and pulled the Umbreon Master Ball the other day. That card is, I believe, $350 card.
Yeah, 300.
And I believe that card is worth that money because it's so much harder to pull than the regular SAR Umbreon, which is still beautiful. And there's 32 SARs, and you're guaranteed one of them a box. So technically, every SAR is around 1 out of 300 packs or 30 boxes. So they're not incredibly hard to pull, but they're not super easy to pull any single one either. But basically every box you're going to get bangers after bangers. And we actually pulled the demigod pack where there's a bunch of Pokeballs and 3 SARs as well. It's like a Leafeon, Flareon, and an Umbreon. That was like, I haven't been more hyped. We were at the shop.
Sounds
and
addicting.
one of our employees said, "Hey, like I haven't seen you this hype opening any set ever," because it was so addictive. So this makes me super excited, and I'm also worried about our English version, the Prismatic Evolutions. But at the same time, I haven't had that much fun opening a set in a long time.
How many cases did you open, or how many booster boxes did you open to get to that demi that pack?
So that one actually didn't belong to us. It belonged to a customer. Most of our customers like ripping in the shop with us. So that was from the guy that opened 60 boxes, and we've probably sold like 200 boxes already in the last week. So that was the first one I've seen, and we probably opened like maybe 100 boxes in the shop. So I would say that's like 1 out of the 100 boxes. I don't know if that's the actual odds, but that's the only one that we've seen.
Yeah, and that's your experience.
Yeah, because we don't have much product. I was only able to open 10 boxes because CJ won't let me open anymore. So I'm like pretty choked. I'm just trying to like live vicariously through other people that open it. So
yeah.
On the weekend when people come and buy boxes, anytime someone opens it, I'm like, dude, I need to see this, and it's so fun. So I don't think the prices will go down for this set in a while. even though there's reprints that are happening literally like
Yeah,
now.
I
Like
heard about
next
that.
week, there's a reprint. There's another reprint in a few weeks,
Oh,
and we're
goodness.
asking Japanese users like, "Hey, yo, like you're reprinting. Can we have like a normal price?" Like, nah, it's still $80. So,
Wow, that's rough. So that means you
yeah,
guys
it's
gotta
very
sell
rough.
it higher for the consumers.
Yeah, it's gotta
Unfortunately.
be. I think it's gonna hit $100 soon. Eventually, I do think there's gonna be a correction because Prismatic is gonna come out, and then there's a big reason why everyone's opening this set right now because everyone's dying to open Prismatic Evolutions, and before the English version comes out, the Japanese version is being bought out, right? So I do think if you want to buy the Japanese set, it will be available for less than what it is now once Prismatic Evolutions comes out. There's still, like I said, they're going to be widely available. It's not like they short printed this set. It's just the demand is so insanely high right now that the
Yeah,
Japanese shops and distribution is selling it for it's just crazy prices. But I really think that's going to come down. Like we saw that
me too.
happen with Japanese 151. Like it was $200 a box at one point, right? So I think it's going to go up, and then eventually it will come down and stabilize at, I don't know, maybe $75, $80. That's my prediction, but we might be wrong, and this site might just go up to $200, right? Like that might
Yeah,
happen.
I hope not.
I
Yeah,
hope not. Yeah, because
yeah,
I really think of the Japanese version as like an alternative, like a cheaper version to open, alternative to the English one, because the English one is going to be really hard to get, right? So that's
yeah.
why we bought like another 200 or 300, I think, for like literally $80 landed the other day.
Well,
Because we're thinking if we don't have enough Prismatic Evolutions, at least people can open the Japanese version for a bit cheaper. When you think about it, per pack obviously is more expensive, but you're actually getting more hits in a Japanese 10-pack high class
guaranteed
booster
hits.
box
Yeah,
than you do in English, because English is not guaranteed. You get many packs with nothing. But in
yeah.
Japanese, it's like one SAR guaranteed at least per box, and sometimes you get two.
I don't
So
even know if there's any guarantees with English Prismatic because they're in ETBs. There's no guarantee hits with ETBs, right?
no, there wouldn't be any. I would
Yeah.
highly doubt it.
But
Um,
yeah, the high demand for Terastal Festival is driven by FOMO and hype. So it's going to come down, I think, for a period of time, like Jesse was predicting. Once the Prismatic comes out, I hope that this will see a little bit of a dip. But I think this is such a strong set. And the reason I think that is because the total master value for this set is $3,856. So more than the Japanese 151. But also, I think there's the hype of the set being just released, so it's a little bit higher
mhm.
than it should be right now. I think it's going to come down a little bit, but it's still like a really strong price point for the total value,
Yeah.
and more than EV Heroes. And also, if you compare it with the English side of things, it's like neck to neck with the English Evolving Skies at 800. So very close, neck and neck with Evolving Skies, and more than Team Up. So it's like a very strong set that I see Terastal Festival is going to do well. And the Prismatic Evolution is going to be even crazier because it's going to have a lot of value
Mhm.
with
Yeah.
32 SIRs for the English.
Yeah. I think so. I don't think this set will ever be like a $50 set again. But I hope it stabilizes around 75, 70 to $80, because I think that's a decent price point for this, where you can buy and hold as an investment, and you can rip. And this is actually one of the sets where you think it's a bad idea to rip because it's so expensive, but the pull rates being high and there's so many hot cars in it, your EV is actually not far off the price that you're paying, right? Like
Yeah,
I ripped 10
yeah,
boxes, and
absolutely.
obviously getting the Umbreon Master Ball is already like pretty much 40% of like what I spent buying it.
Yeah,
And
Pokemon Center is
the other
genius.
stuff,
They're just giving a reason to rip it open so you can buy more of their products, and adding the Master Balls as another alternative pulls to the regular ones, it just increases the total value of the set by like 30-40%.
yeah. I think it's an amazing set, and this, I think for sure gave me like 100% confidence that Prismatic Evolutions is going to be one of the hottest and most anticipated sets of all time. And
Oh,
time will
100%.
tell whether or not it's going to be stronger than Evolving Skies or 151, but I think it's going to be up there with those two for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be up there because the Japanese set is already neck and neck with Evolving Sky, so I think there's a good chance that Prismatic will outpace Evolving Skies because of the Master Ball.
Yeah, the Master Ball that's just I think we need to have it for every set, because we need to have cards that are super hard to pull and super hard to, and I think it's a no-brainer, and it's almost like I'm excited but scared for the ride that's coming.
Fear.
Right now I'm trying to get some more product for us to rip, because I know with the product we have, CJ is going to be like, yo, you got one box, and then I'm gonna be super sad, right? So I'm gonna try and buy some more product. So
nothing for Jesse, maybe one.
No.
if lucky.
Yeah, because she's gonna put it at the shop. It's gonna be limit one per customer. I already know it, and every time I open another one, she's gonna like slap my hand, like, no, we don't have enough.
No, but you can open Shiny Treasure. Look at all the other high class sets in the past.
Yes.
But they're very good sets to open, but there's not even half the value of Terastal Festival.
But it's undervalued. That's why I think it's a good buy. I'm trying to get more Shiny Treasures right now, actually.
Are they still about $40 a box?
I think so. You can still buy them in bulk for around $40.
Okay.
From a lot. I don't think it's like $30 like it was before, but $40 is still a pretty good price point. Trying to buy some from Crossing.
Like the Bubble Mew and the Charizard.
And the Pikachu Shiny Vault. I don't understand how this set is. Nobody cares about it. It's such a good set.
It's just that the Terastal Festival has got the Master Balls and all the evolutions.
People are always just focused on like the newest, shiniest thing, and they just don't really like pay attention to the other sets. And that's like what we're trying to like advocate for right now, There's other sets. Instead of complaining, no, it's so expensive, I can't get anything. Well, there's a lot of things that are readily available that are being overlooked right now. That's also something that I want to say. Even in the middle of the hypest market, the height of the boom in 2020, 2021, there were still sets that were going for well under where they should be selling for that people just ignored. Even in 2021, sets in the late Sun and Moon era, like Unbroken Bonds or Unified Minds, those sets were still going for like $120. Like X and Y sets. I remember I bought a bunch of Roaring Skies and what else? Primal Clash. Those sets I bought for like $150 or $200 a box. Like I bought Lost Thunder for like $120 a box. I bought a bunch of Unified Minds and Unbroken Bonds for like $110 a box. This is like in 2021, right? In the middle of the hype, or maybe slightly before that. But this was after the Logan Paul craziness, and after Evolutions went up to like $600. This is after Shining Fates went up to like $200. I was still able to get these late Sun and Moon era sets for like $110. So like that was people like, oh, in this market you can't buy anything, like I'm dead, like it's gone. Right? But no, there's other sets that are being overlooked that are way better buys than the shiniest, hottest new set that you see that you can't get for a good price. Right?
I know at the time Shining Fates was super hot. It's like in the 100s, 120s. Instead of buying that, if you would have bought the Primal Clash or the Lost Thunder for $150, you'd be way up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we did. And we actually opened a bunch of them, which is not smart as an investor, but it was fun. It was good price to open it, right? Because now they're like $700, $800. And they're actually more expensive than like Exile Evolution, some of these sets, like Unified Minds, Unbroken Bonds, even Cosmic. I remember Team Up wasn't even that expensive. Team Up was probably like $250 or something at the time. So you can always find sets that are extremely overlooked and undervalued in any market. Just remember that. It's not everything being hyped up. Just look elsewhere.
Exactly. Well, so Prismatic Evolution, the English set, is set to be released on January 17th next year, and then followed by Battle Partner, which will feature Return of Owner's Pokemon on January 24th. And then the English version of that, Journey Together, will be released on March 28th. And then Team Rockets next year is going to be completely stacked.
Yeah.
I think 2025 is going to be a good year. Do you have any
Yeah.
closing thoughts about 2025?
Yeah, my closing thoughts are, like I kind of just said it before. One
Yeah.
of these sets or a couple of these sets are going to be the Shining Fates into the Voltage. It's gonna happen. So be careful. Don't FOMO like crazy and look where other people aren't looking. Even though, like, most likely most of these sets are going to be huge bangers, but there will be one or two that's going to stay at MSRP until the end of time, where it feels like.
Yeah, that's really solid advice, and that's what people
Yeah.
need to hear. There's a lot of other opportunities. So
Yeah.
with that, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like and comment on your thoughts about today's episode, and subscribe if you like our content. And thank you all so much for watching. Until the next one.
All right. Thank you very much.